Hi everybody, this is Jenny Guthrie at Glow Medical Aesthetics, and I am the nurse practitioner slash owner of this establishment. And so today I just wanted to talk a little bit about our history as a company and where we've come from and maybe a little bit about where we're going. We have been so blessed in the last year that we've had a tremendous growth, a lot of new patients coming in who are just seeing us in this facility, and so they don't know a lot of our backstory. So I'm kind of wanting to get that out there. I don't know that it's totally unique to all med spas, but it's kind of personal to me and it means a lot to me. So that's why I want to share it with everybody. So I graduated from nursing school, Oral Roberts University, in 1996, and then I went and started working in the ICU as a nurse and kind of got my feet wet in the medical field. And then I went back to school and became a nurse practitioner. And then I did family practice at a couple places for about 7 years. And at that point, I had a nurse practitioner friend who said there's a startup med spa in town that's looking to hire, and they offered me the job, and it's not really my interest. Would you be interested? And so at that point in my life, I didn't have kids, and I had kind of established my career, and I was getting a little bit restless with family practice with some of the changes with insurance and things. And so I said, sure, I'll take a risk. So anyway, I went to work for this startup where I was very blessed to receive training in how to inject and learning about fillers and Botox and aesthetics. And of course, as a female, I had an interest in aesthetics before this, but never really found quite the avenue or opportunity for it. And it just kind of fell into my lap. So I took it. And anyway, over time, that med spa, as great as it was of an opportunity for me, they just didn't succeed as a business. And so that was really a stressful and kind of a traumatic time. And anyway, so it wound up closing. And unfortunately, at the same time, as my professional life was kind of having some stress, I was going through a divorce in my personal life. So a lot of stress was kind of swirling around me. And so I went to work at another med spa in town where I'm very grateful to work with somebody who had a very well-established business and a great reputation. And she, was wonderful to me. And I just kind of kept building my aesthetic career and learning there. Well, unfortunately, she got very ill and unfortunately died from the illness, again, rather suddenly. And so going through that experience, I could kind of see what was going to happen to her business, and it made me very sad for the legacy that she had and what she'd built. And so I knew it was going to close or come to kind of an unfortunate end. And so at the time, I didn't want to go through that again. I'd already been there, done that, have the t-shirt. I've been through a med spa closing. I don't want to do this again. But while I was working there, I needed to make some money on the side because my divorce that I'd gone through had left me with a lot of debt. And so I needed to do something, and I had a non-compete clause with her, and so I wanted to honor that. And I had a friend who I called in Enid, and I was like, hey, would you like to do a Botox party? Again, probably not always, I didn't always do things the way things should be done nowadays, but it was slightly different time. So I went out to Enid and I did a Botox party at a salon there in town. And that salon owner wanted to have somebody come and rent a room from her and come out once a month. So that's what I did. I just went out there, no advertising, complete word of mouth, and just began treating patients with Botox and began to develop a clientele. And so I was able to bring in some extra money on the side and pay off my debt and not violate my non-compete. So that's actually the roots of Enid and how that location got started. People ask me all the time, why Enid? Well, part of it was because of my non-compete, but the other part of it is I just absolutely love that community and I love the women there. I love going there. I feel like it's my home away from home. It's my second home. And when I pull into Enid, my heart's happy to be there. So that's how we got started. And so the money that I began making in Enid as it grew, I just invested back into the Tulsa location because once the med spa closed here in Tulsa and the non-compete was no longer an issue, I then began treating friends and family out of my house. Also, Not a way that I recommend that you start your medical practice, but it was a little bit different time. And I guess I was more of a risk taker than I thought I was, but I just was frankly desperate and needing to make some money. And so those people began referring their friends to my house. And so I kind of had this little mini med spa set up in the room in my house, and it just kind of began to grow, and more people were sending their friends to me. And so I added chemical peels and I added microneedling all out of my house. Again, don't recommend doing that, but this was back, about 10 years ago, maybe even 11 years ago at this point. And so at some point, it was kind of growing enough that it became weird that people were coming to my house. So I was like, okay, I need to do something different. And it was never really my intention to have a business. It was never my original heart, oh, I'm going to have this business and this is my vision to have employees or any of that. Frankly, I just liked doing aesthetics, and I liked helping people, and I liked connecting with the women, and I liked the relationships I was building. And so that's kind of why I kept at it. Well, then I sublet from a makeup artist in town for a while, which that again just kind of fell into my lap, and how that happened, and it was a good fit at the time, and I thought, okay, this will work. So I rented a room from her, and I was there 1 or 2 days a week, just kind of seeing patients. And I was still working part-time as a nurse practitioner, working in internal medicine and a radiology practice and different kind of practices, so I could make my primary income that way, and just kind of build the business without a lot of debt or expense. Well, that makeup artist decided to move and didn't really give me a lot of notice. So I was back at my house. So kind of suddenly and without a lot of warning. And so finally I thought, okay, I need, and that actually happened to me in Enid as well. The original person that I was subletting from kind of just yanked the rug out from under me and moved without telling me and not giving me a lot of notice. And so then I found another place to go to, and that was much better, and had a much better working relationship long-term, a little bit more stability there. But after that happened to me kind of twice in 2 different areas, I thought, all right, I need my own space. I can't keep relying on other people. That may also be the only child in me. I'm kind of not always the best team player, and group projects in college were not always my favorite thing, because I felt like, a few people did the work and the rest of the people just kind of skated along. So I thought, I'm just not going to rely on somebody else for their space, because either they're folding or they're dying, or then they flake out on me. So that was kind of my history. So I rented a small little space, and some of you ladies who have been with me since that day, I rented a small space in Remington Tower. It was 1 room, a little treatment room, and 1 little waiting area, and it was tiny, and it wasn't super nice. It wasn't all bougie and all of this, and all it was me, little old me, doing all the scheduling, doing all the booking, doing all the ordering, paying all the bills, doing the treatments, all of these things. I was literally a one-man band. And so that's kind of, because again, I never really wanted to have a business. I just was kind of doing this. I was making extra money on the side, and I enjoyed doing it, and I wanted to have a great skill set, and I was learning, and it challenged me. So I just kind of kept on. And so my lease came up in Remington Tower, and I was wanting to expand and grow a little bit, because it was tiny, and we just needed something a little bit nicer. And the lady that was doing the leasing would never call me back. And so I have learned not to push those things. And although it bothered me and I wanted to keep calling her, I just kind of put it in God's hands, and I said, okay, I'm just going to kind of wait on this, and I'm going to trust, and I'm not going to try to push it or force it. And then my medical director, who I've had the great blessing of having a wonderful medical director this whole time, Dr. Michelle Neal Sherwood, called me out of the blue, literally just fell in my lap again. Hey, I've got some space in my office. Would you be interested in moving in there? So it was bigger. It had like a nice desk, and we had 3 treatment rooms. And so compared to where we were in Remington Tower, it was this huge blessing and this huge upgrade. So I said, sure, we'll take it. And so at that point, I'd hired Kelly, who you guys will meet in a future installment. And Kelly came alongside me to help me, because doing it as a one-man band, I was beginning to not be able to keep up with everything, and I knew I needed some help. So anyway, we began in that space over at Functional Medicine Institute at 61st and Sheridan. And we were there for several years, and then we just continued to grow during that time.